And we're live. Hey,
Yeah,
folks. Welcome back to Soaring Profits again. Your two dynamic duos, the Batman, Robin.
Batman,
Yeah, I know you keep saying
Robin.
that. Yeah. Folks, we are just right around the corner from the long weekend here in Canada, and we are kind of chatting a little bit about what that means now after everything.
Canada Day.
Yeah,
It's
Canada Day.
exciting. Canada's Day is such a great day, like to celebrate all the accomplishments Canada's had and all the great things that we have. The fact that we have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, we have such great health care and
Like about that.
little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
little bit. Great healthcare, but no, we have like great social programs. Other countries in the world, like I feel very fortunate to be born in Canada. Like I think often of there's other countries that had we been born in, the opportunities that we've got, and we wouldn't be able to do we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. Like if you think of some of the countries where they even control, like micro control, what's said on the internet, like people disappear for some of the things we say. So I just think we're very fortunate, and I can't wait to celebrate Canada.
Well, so and this is where it kind of comes back to this conversation that we were having a little bit earlier today, and what that means now, especially after kind of everything that's happened since January and February up here in Canada, where flying the flag seems to be almost like a protest anymore in and of itself, right? And it's a very weird process. I think we're going through as a nation. I don't know if it's kind of hard to describe it other than uh, what does Canada look like now, right? Like I feel like we've damaged an image of a very solemn flag, our Canadian emblem. That now you see that flying on a truck, and there's some hesitancy about that communication and what that means and all that sort
Yeah,
of thing. And
yeah.
then we've joked about. I know you and I have joked about before, where it's like Canada Day should be interesting this year to see, who the terrorists are, right?
Which is not funny, but is funny, and just because you're absolutely right. I see trucks now all the time, and I used to see trucks. Like it's not like this is not new. The trucks have in our city have flown flags behind their truck for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But now when you see it, it's a different connotation. You think anti-mask, anti-vaccination, all that stuff that goes along with it. And the poor guy could have been flying the flag for like 18 years. Like he's just proud of his country. Maybe he still served in the military. Maybe, but I don't care. It doesn't change anything for me. That Canadian flag is still a symbol for a very proud people, a people that have built a fine nation, and it's very disappointing that I sometimes the same thing feel the same way. But I see posts on Facebook all the time that oh, I was in the Tim Hortons lineup and I saw a guy with flags that made me so mad. It's like because you had Canadian flags. What makes you mad about that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I think that goes to it though, right? And that's where I'm saying is that this Canada Day just kind of hits differently, I think, for a lot of people. And it will be very interesting to see what sort of celebrations are had, what sort of symbolism is put out there. I know there's lots of people, pro Trudeau, negative Trudeau, all of the things that go along with it, and it's really unfortunate that this one person has kind of created this environment, this toxicity, I guess you would say, around such a symbol of freedom and what we believed freedom would be, should be, and could be in Canada. And now it kind of ends up being this, like you say, like I got stuck behind a guy in the line in Tim Hortons, and I got angry.
Right? Yeah.
It's a very weird thing.
And I know words have been exchanged over it, and I know like people have got in trouble at work for it and stuff like that. It's just it's an odd time. I don't think it's just Trudeau who's created division, though. Like I think if you look at Singh and some of the things that he spouts,
hang on there, you're being racist.
Well, no, I'm not being racist because it has nothing to do with who he is. It has to do with what he says. It doesn't.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just think that every time that we've had an issue where somebody comes along and says that they disagree with this man, it becomes an insanely racist rant that we hear from the left. And I'm not saying that that's
I don't know that that's always the case. I agree. Sometimes that is the case, just like the right does similar things. because they're trying to scream down truth and fact. And but
Wow.
if you look at what he says, he's a very divisive person. He's not about, neither of them, Trudeau and Singh, neither one of them are about making a joined country, about healing wounds, about joining people back together at a time when we need to be a whole country. All of them seem to just, every time there's an election, every time there's a political something that they really want, they create division, whether they push the native narrative. And don't get me wrong, when I say native narrative, I mean what they do. I think we should be helping our natives more. And I think I don't even know if native is the right word. If it's not, I apologize. We should be helping our natives more. But that's not what they do. They kind of brush off their flag and say, oh, we're going to do so much. And then they do nothing. Same with women issues. Trudeau did the same thing during that election. But has done really nothing for women's issues. Actually, recently he came out and was talking about the Roe versus Wade thing, but did nothing about it. Like, there are things that another country can do if you actually felt as strongly as you're pretending you feel.
So are you bringing up Roe versus Wade?
I brought it up in the extent that I watched Trudeau, I think it was yesterday, come out and say, it's an atrocity and all this stuff, which I'm not disagreeing with or agreeing with. What I'm saying is that he does it for political gain. He does it so he can be that playboy, joyous person. And that's why I don't like him, because he's fake. He doesn't really do anything about it. Because a country, if you really disagreed with America right now about Roe versus Wade, you could do stuff about it. We have that kind of power. We trade with them. We do all kinds of things with them. So he could do stuff. But what I'm saying is that they seem to want to create division.
I go to this often, but that's their voter base, right? So I would argue that right now there is so many emotionally driven topics. Just cycle them, right? You can just go back and forth on them so many different times. And I feel like I've convinced you at some level that conservatism is kind of what we need, at least fiscal conservatism right now.
Physically, no,
fiscal.
Yeah, that's it.
Financial, right?
Financially,
that's a very plunging neckline you're wearing, sir. Is that appropriate for what? 18 plus.
I think it is. We just went to 18 plus. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm trying to increase our ratings.
Yeah.
Actually, I just did a thing about it. I was talking about patience and time. This is totally off topic, but I was talking about patience and time when you're trying to reach a goal and it's frustrating because you're not reaching that goal. Yeah. So I kind of mentioned us, you and I, we talk to like tens of people every day in hopes that one video, whatever it is, will take off. Like, so then you have to tweak it. You have to like watch what is important, what's not important. And then you have to like decide, are we going to like put some money into Instagram and send it out on Instagram? Or we're going to put some money in Facebook, send it on Facebook. But the part that's the hard part is the patience. So anyway, that has nothing to do with anything other than I'm selling sex.
It does sell.
No, I got home from work and I changed my shirt really quick and I guess I missed a button. But
whatever. Yeah. But you look good.
I'm gorgeous. I am gorgeous.
You are.
So I think I'm going to get back to Canada Day. I think it's going to be a joyous celebration. I think partially because this is the first one we've been able to do in, I think, 2 years, 3 years, maybe.
Right.
And so I hope we celebrate it huge. I know this weekend in our city, the Spoons are opening our music festivals.
The who?
The Spoons are from like when I was a kid, so you might not know who they are, but they were big. They were like kind of one-hit wonder big, huge. So that's kind of neat.
Something from them, please.
I cannot. I can't.
I think that'd be great if you could. Like, if you could just like.
If I could just belt one out, I would.
I could hum along for you with you.
Yeah, I would, but I don't have my my drum set around me.
Right. He is a drummer, folks.
I need my drum set to really give it justice.
Right.
But so I think it's going to be a big celebration. We'll have fireworks. Hopefully we have some good weather. And I think if you are a Canadian out there, get that flag, wear it proud, carry it.
So
please don't disrespect it because nothing is worse.
Right. Well, that's where I was kind of going with it, right? Is that uh, so I know a number of people that served in the military. I know a number of people, policing, paramilitary type organizations, and a lot of these guys have been very divided down kind of party lines over the last little while. And when you put to them what Canada Day weekend is anymore, it's almost as if people just kind of shake their head. They don't really know. So it's a very weird time in our nation's history. I'm interested to see what happens. I really do hope that it is everything that we have came to expect with that over the years. But I think there's a lot of and this word is probably strong, but disenfranchisement when it comes to the views of Canadians and what Canada is right now. And there's a lot of that political angst that goes along with that, and topics being used to divide. And we talk a lot about politics, we talk a lot about finance, bettering ourselves on this channel. And I look at Canada, and I think back of doing things with my parents and my father especially, and it just hits different this year, and I'm not sure why completely. And I don't know. I think there's going to be some people that
I think there's so many levels. Like there's people that are very upset right now. They're very upset. Some of them have good cause, and I could really see them using this weekend as a political standpoint to do some protesting, which is unfortunate, and maybe to create more division. I would hope, though, that Canada Day should be a time that we celebrate Canada, that we come together as a nation, that I talk all the time about life and motivation and stuff like that, and we get caught in the negative. We get constantly, once you're in that negative mindset, all
Right.
you see around you is negative.
Yeah.
If everyone out there just took the time and say, yeah, you know what, this sucks and I'm really angry about that, but there are so many benefits to living in Canada. Let's just for one day, celebrate all of those other wonderful, positive things that Canada has provided, Canada has done, because we have done amazing things. And it's a shame that now we never take the time to celebrate what Canada has done like we used to. We used to have shows celebrating what Canada was done. I remember, late at night, you would, way before your time, the channel would shut off. So all the channels would shut off. And just the last thing you'd see was "Oh Canada," and you'd see like the Bluebirds jets and like different parts of the nation, the Niagara Falls, and it was just a cool thing to watch. I think it was midnight or something. I don't even remember, but it was every night, and it would show all the wonderful things about Canada. And we had shows talking. We had different TV personalities that would travel the country and go to different, and Rick Mercer was one of them. He'd go to different places and just celebrate what different little cities in Canada were doing. And they were beautiful, beautiful things. And now it just seems that all of our big actors and all of our news outlets are seeking the division, the negative. All the stories, all the podcasts are about how can we divide the country instead of going to a small town. I don't know. I can't think of a town right now, Hastings, and talking about, their maple syrup festival. I don't know. I don't have a thing in my head, but that's what Rick Mercer used to do. And I loved it. I thought it was the best thing ever. He'd go there, he'd have a great time, he'd milk a cow, whatever it was, and just celebrate Canada and how great Canada is. And I think this is the day. If you're out there right now watching this, all you 10 people, tell 10 friends, and those friends will tell 10 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. Let's pick one day.
Well, as well, on a little bit of a side note, Ghislaine Maxwell, our girl Ghislaine, she was sentenced to a bunch of years in, basically she was sentenced to death.
Wow, that's a segue.
Right. Well, so I'd go over there because I figured that, trying to go back to politicians and craziness and all that sort of thing. So, so she's going to commit suicide here in the next little while. So I just figured I'd jump in on that one.
20 years she was sentenced to, which I don't know. To me, it kind of sounds strange like that. I can't imagine she made a deal and got 20 years.
Well, as well, your boy R. Kelly, apparently 30 years.
And like that's the trial I wanted to see. That's the trial I would have like. Those were our children that were affected.
Right.
I didn't want to. I don't care about Johnny Depp. Don't care at all.
It's funny how that works, eh?
But that one popped right up, and we saw that every detail. But this really important crime, nothing. I don't even know if it's on the news.
When it involves such high-ranking people, that you better get something else on the agenda, right? So, no, I struggle with everything that's gone on there. Obviously, we're talking about the Epstein kind of sex trafficking situation that young girls, two very high-powered individuals, and 20 years is not enough, and 200 years sounds a little bit better. But it's one of those things that. When you're bringing in very high-powered people into that world, and whether, kind of the theory around this whole sort of thing is that Epstein was infiltrating very high-ranking political entities and people and getting some sort of information from them in return. So there's a lot of stuff to dive in on that. It's way too much to talk about just in the 20 minutes that we're going to shoot together tonight, but it's something to dive into. And 20 years, that woman will not do 20 years. There's no way.
Well, Epstein didn't do very much. He didn't even get trial. So and she knows just as much information. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting that trial that's so important, and so like, if I was a dad, man, or I was godfather, I would be pissed.
Right.
It would be super angry right now. It would be a problem for me. 20 years. You're right. 20 years is enough, but that's not closure. That's not information. That's not why.
Yeah.
How? Like, if we don't discover how, we talk about if you don't learn from your past, how you're going to correct it in the future.
Absolutely.
We have no idea how these people did this. How do we fix it?
Yeah.
How do we know other people aren't doing it? Well, we know other people are doing it right now. We do know, right? They talk about it.
The big thing to me is that so the Netflix documentary that they have out there about it, I'd have to look it up exactly. It's the Jeffrey Epstein people on Netflix. Yeah. But when you go in and you watch it, I followed that initial stuff with Epstein pretty closely. And Netflix, I'm shocked they did anything about it. Like did what they did.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very vague description of what had happened. And oddly, at the time, there were very negative Trump connotations around the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So that's what the documentary kind of focused on, is the relationship of Trump and Epstein. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, like, that is such a weird spin to put on this with everything that kind of we do know around that. It was just such a kind of half-hearted effort, right? So again, it's one of those situations where you get a writer that they come out and they write what they want to write, and that's their opinion on the situation. However, the truth is so much more sinister in this situation that it's wild. So
they have a whole island with
that's not
stages and different. Like, if you go on YouTube right now, you can see someone went in there with like a drone.
Yeah.
And you can see this creepy island.
Yeah. The island is called Little St. John Island. Again, I did a ton of stuff when this first came out, right? So Little St. John Island. And so this was, again, Bahamas, beautiful area. The island is very spectacular to look at. Has a temple, oddly, a temple.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's some creepy stuff on that island.
Creepy stuff. But the island directly adjacent to it is Disney Cruises Island. Yeah, a little known fact.
Yeah, so I know that.
Cruises, when you Google Disney Cruises, and like the island that they take you to for like your fun day on the beach is directly adjacent, and it's like Big St. John Island. Like, it's directly adjacent to this. Wow. And again, something to deep dive a little bit is some of the missing children that have occurred during the Disney cruises, and that have again, don't take my word for it.
Go look.
So it's very weird that all of a sudden that this island that has underground tunnels and access hatches and a temple and all this weird kind of stuff. Not a whole lot, I think, was brought up about that potentially during her trial. It was very, very superficial around what had happened in Florida.
Yeah.
And again, because the prosecutors in the Bahamas never touched any of this stuff, I'm sure they have a treasure trove of information. But again, we just don't hear that sort of thing, right? So
No.
it's again, it's kind of those situations where if you can follow the money, I talk about this a lot, right? If you can follow the money, you find the people that are pulling the strings. And in this situation, there's a shit ton of money people that are involved in this, and we're not hearing anything about it.
I would think for the island that I did a small dive. I didn't do a deep dive like you do, but you had to fly to the island. You had to be invited to the island. You had to it wasn't like Billy off the street was saying you go to Vegas and you have that guy on the street going, hey, here's a group of cards. I see it in the movies. I've never been, so I don't know. But here's a group of cards of women you can have, and you go and do whatever. That's what they show in the movies. I don't know. But it's not like that. It's like you have to know someone to know something, and you have to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's wild that it's not getting the coverage it is. And, today we're talking about the January 6th trial. And apparently Trump is a badass, even more so than I thought so, because apparently he's trying to steal limos, commandeer the special, the Secret Service, and
I heard that.
Well,
he also is mad at porcelain and ketchup.
Oh yeah, he threw his lunch apparently. So
he threw his lunch against the wall when he heard a thing. Yeah, and apparently attacked a Secret Service agent who would not drive him to the Capitol. But I am taking everything with a grain of salt, because so far all of it is hearsay, and I know with the law that hearsay doesn't really mean much with most laws usually, but it was like a lady heard something from someone else say this.
Right. Oh, well, if you had to watch this lady, and God bless her, she is what she is, right?
Yeah.
But she's sitting there and she's like sweating buckets. Like you can see this.
She was very nervous. She's a very young woman, and I bet does not want to, who would want to be there? She was probably forced.
That's it, right?
So her career, could tip either way from this moment.
Well, I think if you've watched this January 6th stuff for any amount of time, it's such a sham, right? The Republicans have had nothing to do with it, because they're so there's 3 Republicans that
I don't know that it's a sham, man. I think we need to know the reasons it happened. It was a dangerous situation. We need to understand it so we can learn from it, so we can avoid it in the future.
But it's completely partisan, right? So the Republicans, there's been 3 Republicans that have been 3 Republicans that have been involved in this. Yeah. Liz Cheney being, kind of the top Republican, whose father was Dick Cheney, was the guy who's like, oh, we got weapons of mass destruction all over the world.
He's doing well because he was shot in the face, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, he's super, super popular because he shoots people in the face. So maybe he's a real gangster. I don't know, but Dick Cheney basically ran the world under George W. Bush, right?
That's what they're saying.
Wow, so very powerful man, highly connected in Halliburton, the oil company. And any story that you've heard ever out of the Bush White House is that Bush always kind of looked to Cheney for what was happening, right? Well, this is
some of those stories, yes.
Yeah. So this is his daughter, right? Very well-connected political family. And she is what you would call a rhino in the States. So that's a Republican in name only. So she has garnered all of the financial supporting that was through the Republican Party. She will not get elected again. This has crucified her political career. But what she's doing is now she's in a situation where she's setting herself up potentially maybe as a Democrat, or in a position in the corporate world.
And you're saying that just because she's kind of went across the aisle and now she's pushing for this, pushing to find out more about what happened.
Well, I think pushing to find out more what happened would be a glamorous way of explaining that. Is that what they're doing is they're spinning a story. And again, like I said, is that the Republicans have had nothing to do with this because they think it's a sham, right? They think that this is ridiculous because it's a very partisan thing. So the 3 that have are the Republicans. So down in the States, as in Canada, you go back and forth between questions. So you have Democrats questioning, you have Republicans questioning, you have Democrats questioning. Well, it's the same three Republicans, right?
Right.
Well, that's three people that all of them who are very anti-Trump, have been for years, and are, again, what you call rhinos. So Republican in name only. They voted against everything the Republicans have done. When the Republicans held the Senate and the Congress, they voted against everything the Republicans have. So they're not Republicans at the end of the day. So these, like I say, Cheney, this will be her last term. I don't know if she's out in November potentially, or if she's got another 2 years, but she'll be gone.
But don't you think we should explore what happened?
Yeah, 100%. But
attacked, whether it was attacked by insurrection or it was attacked by just a group of people that were angry and worked up, it doesn't matter. We should still explore why that happened, because we don't want stuff like that happen again. They actually broke into, chambers. They actually removed stuff from chambers. They hurt people, unfortunately. I am unclear if they killed people. I know some people are saying they did kill people. Other people are saying that those people died after. I really don't know. I know that the one lady did die who was, trying to get in. And it was a tragedy. The whole thing was a tragedy.
How did she die?
She was shot trying to climb in. Yeah.
She was shot standing behind a doorway, and was shot through the door. Yeah. Because they were banging on the door. Anyway, yes, wrong, shouldn't have been there, all those sort of things, right? Yeah. Yes, there's no question that they should be investigating this. The problem is that you can't have a partisan witch hunt and call it a legal process. And that's what's happening. So you have to figure it a way, like in any investigation.
Well, don't you think if the Republicans joined in fully, that we would have more of an even? Like, why wouldn't you join in, and then you could have that open dialogue on both sides and ask the proper questions and make sure that it's open and honest? Why wouldn't the Republicans join in and do that? I get they feel it's a waste of time. I get they feel that it's a witch hunt to attack. And I'm not saying you're wrong. Like the little bit I've watched, and it's not a whole lot, has been centered around Trump, because the whole thing seems to be, we want to link Trump so we can burn Trump down. It's not so much about finding out what happened and correcting it, more than trying to dethrone Trump in any way they can. I understand what you're trying to say, but I would think if you could get the Republicans in and they had their side, the whole conversation about it, we might be able to flush out, why did this happen and how do we fix it? How do we fix the division in the country?
Well, I would argue that there's no politics in that. Right. So at the end of the day, this here now is this one-sided. Well, the news media every evening is plugging this, like CNN is just nonstop about it. Right. And every time Democrats bring out a new witness, they wheel out there. CNN plays it for the entire day and goes, C. And then if you're still watching CNN, we all know your politics anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like it's the same thing.
I think if you're watching any news media and you're only watching that one side, you're only getting a side. Like you're fed what you're spoon fed, whatever message they want to give you now. Like to say that any news media out there that I know of, I don't know of one. And if there is one, let me know.
Soaring Profits.
Soaring Profits, we're one. Yeah, we don't have one of us doesn't have an agenda politically.
On the beach and
one of us is moderate. There isn't a news media out there. There isn't a radio station. There isn't nothing. Like I was listening to Country and Western this morning on my way to work, and they had a political opinion about it. Country and Western, they're DJs. They should be like spinning music and telling me, what's the next great country song. But yet I'm hearing, their opinion.
But I hate to say it, but it's because they're owned by Chorus Entertainment. So Chorus Entertainment.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm not disagreeing.
You're owned by these groups, right? Yeah, so going back to your question about why the Republicans aren't involved in this process, is that because this has been framed not as an investigation into what happened, as more of a witch hunt. And the way that it's been framed all the way along is that the Republicans are complacent in it, and therefore the Democrats are the strong legal foothold we'll get to the bottom of this. Well, again, that just becomes a political witch hunt, and which it has. It's become ridiculous. But like the witnesses when they're coming here, they're being questioned by Republicans, and the Republicans, they're worse than the Democrats. Like it's crazy to me, like just wild, right? But they're not they're not seeking truth. They're seeking to frame up a position, right? So like today, well, over the last couple of days, they had this witness that we were talking about where apparently Donald Trump fought
Sorry,
off.
remember her name.
Sorry,
I was trying to remember her name, but I can't remember it. But yeah,
apparently he fought off the Secret Service to drive the limo back to the White House.
yep.
Like with all due respect.
Well, okay.
Right?
So Trump is a hothead.
Okay, so just hang on a second. Remember when it was that everyone was going on about like he told them he was going to the Capitol and then like he never did. Like what a goof! Like he was inciting these people and then never showed up. And even if this is true, I'm like, that guy's way more of a gangster than I ever even thought he was. He was going up to the Capitol. Like he was going with these guys, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. That was his game plan, if this is true, right?
But
So he was going to steal a
totally
limo.
wrong and not the way a leader should be.
Sorry?
Totally wrong and not what any leader should be doing. Like that makes it worse.
But the argument
that does not make it better. That makes it way worse that he decided he was going to go to the Capitol. That doesn't make it better.
So if Trump went to the Capitol,
yeah.
And do you think he was going to support them damaging the Capitol? I don't. I think if Trump got to the Capitol, he would have been, whoa, easy, calm it down.
I don't think so. I don't think so, especially not if he's grabbing agents.
That's what I mean, right? Like that's where this story, and it was, I heard it from a party who told
no, it's all hearsay. Like it's not, she was sitting in the car. And if you had that information, why wouldn't you have the guy who got choked? Where's that guy?
Well, they asked him, right? So the Secret Service came out today and said that they never received any information about being requested to confirm or deny any of these stories.
So if it's a true story,
yeah,
why wouldn't you ask the guy who got attacked? He works for the government.
Because they don't need that. Because CNN and the news agencies will go out there and they're going to play Trump as the wild man.
Sure.
They don't need
the problem with that, and I know the problem with that, is that the people that are his base, when they hear, like, I don't think the Democrats and the liberals understand the far right at all. They don't get it. Just like, the Republicans don't understand the far left. They just don't understand it. They think they do, but they don't. If a far right hears that their leader tried to take out a Secret Service agent so he could be with his people, that's not going to lessen him. That's going to make him greater.
That's what I'm saying. Like if this guy is like manhandling, like Trump's a big
boy. Pick him up on his shoulders. Right. And like it's a stupid route to go. It's a very stupid route to go.
That's the problem.
That's something they should have done. They should. But I'm telling you right now, if he did do that and he was trying to get there and he didn't help the people inside, he's a terrible leader and should never be president.
But that's all semantics because you don't know because he wasn't there.
I do not know.
That's the issue. No. So that's what's being phrased, though, is that Trump organized this, and then I talked with so many liberals when they were going on about this, and they're like, he caused this insurrection, and then he told them he was going up to the Capitol, and then he never went. Like he's just a liar. Like he's just such a liar, right? Yeah. And then it's like, okay. So now he was going to fight off security to go and be like, hey, right? I don't know. It's wild.
So I don't think he is to blame, but he did incite them to action, right?
By saying, let's go to the Capitol?
Yes.
Now, you'd have
to incite them to action, but I don't know that he's blamable for what happened after they got there. Like that's a big stretch to blame someone for that when he was just saying, let's go to the Capitol and let them know.
Right.
I don't think at any point that I recall, because I haven't watched that speech in a long time. I did watch it because I wanted to see the full thing because I was watching the little clips that people put out and it's always biased.
Right.
And I watched the whole thing and I watched it and I was like, I'm a little disgusted, a little grossed out by him. And I think he's wrong, but I don't think he said, go, let's take over America and now we're going to be, I'll be the dictator and I'm going to take over America and you will be my army, which is kind of what, like, that's what an insurrection is, right? This word that they're throwing around is that they planned on going in and forming a new government.
Yeah, not a thing.
The guy with the buffalo head, I just want to make it clear, the guy with the buffalo head was going to form a new government.
Yeah, not
and
a
the
thing.
fact that they walked out and stuff, like, what they did was wrong. Nothing like that should ever happen again.
They're sitting in jail still.
It was wrong. They should be in jail. They did the wrong thing. They're paying, like, hopefully they pay for their time. But to say it was an insurrection, it just makes me laugh because.
But that's why, like, on face value, you see why the Republicans scoff at this and go, "This is stupid."
But I think that's the wrong move. I think the Republicans should be
I don't
involved so that we can totally flesh out this is why it happened, so they can say over and over again what you people did was wrong. But let's see why it happened.
So America is built on that, though, right? Like, their founding documents, their founding of their nation is built on overthrowing a dictatorial, tyrannical government.
Sure.
So if, like, that's the problem, is that you, as the government, and it's so funny, especially with all, like, the gun stuff that's coming down the pipe right now, which Supreme Court came out the other day and said that all of these gun laws in New York and in Illinois, they're unconstitutional. So, like, the red flag gun laws, it's like, that's great.
What's the red flag gun law? I don't know them.
Red flag gun laws?
Yeah.
Well, the concept, which sounds lovely, is that if you are deemed to be an individual who is at risk to harm yourself or others,
sure,
then law enforcement come in and remove your firearms from you.
Okay. So, like, you just got a divorce and you were domestic violence or something, or you.
Well, they frame them around the school shootings, right?
Okay.
They frame them around the school shooters that these guys have had a number of occurrences. They're posting things online. Hey, right?
Okay. So there's a possible threat because they're going online with their gun and going bang, bang, bang. We need to get. Okay. Kids. I don't have a problem with that.
No. Okay. But my thing is that, okay, so the red flag gun laws, in theory, this is the theory, are for that. Okay. Yeah. The issue is that if I don't like you, I'm your neighbor.
Right.
I'm your neighbor. You cut your grass and you blow the clippings on my lawn.
Totally do. Right. I've seen you do it. Right. And the whole, like, fence thing where you throw your dog's poop over. I'm pretty
Poor Linda. Never stood a chance.
Never stood a chance.
But yeah. The issue is that if you then report me, okay, and you say that I am theoretically a risk to myself or others, who gets to determine? So it should be some sort of judicial process, right?
So wouldn't they need factual proof, or no? You're saying that the police just need to have plausible cause, like when they go into a building to search it, they have to have a warrant. So that you're saying they don't need a warrant to go in and take guns.
That's what these red flag gun laws provide. They provide the jurisprudence for the individual to have his firearms removed from him. So this becomes a really slippery slope.
Right? And you're trying to be clear here. So they don't have, so the police officer gets a call and says, Billy is going to hurt himself. I'm really worried about it. We need to check it out. And the cops know they have guns, I guess. I don't know how that works. And so then the cops can just walk in and take his guns? Or do they have to go to court and prove?
That the gun laws in New York State, the gun laws that the Democrats are trying to pass right now are these red flag gun laws.
Okay.
And that's the issue. So they're trying to make it a federal statute, as opposed to right now they're state statutes. So the Supreme Court overthrew them, all the state statutes, and said, no, right to bear arms, right? You don't have to like it.
Right.
But it is the law.
Right.
You don't have to agree with it, but it's the law.
But wouldn't you be happy if you knew the guy next door who is a meathead and he posts pictures of, like, ripping heads off dolls or something, didn't have guns?
So because I live in the United States, because I would have to live in the United States for this to take effect.
Yeah.
because I live in the United States, the expectation that everybody and their brother has a gun should be what I formulate my thought processes from, right? It should be that everyone has a gun.
Right. That you just know that knowledge, so you should act accordingly, is what you're saying.
Right. Right.
Okay.
That's kind of the underlying thing. So Timmy's pulling doll heads off, and he's an arsehole because lots of people are.
Yep.
The issue becomes is that who dictates what is inappropriate behavior? Like, there's lots of things that I disagree with somebody doing. There's lots of you disagree with somebody doing. You think that what an asshole. That guy is a problem, right?
Yep.
But the issue becomes is that who dictates and who gets to decide. And that's where this really slippery slope becomes.
Right.
And I'll going back to Canada Day and our initial conversation about all this was, right, is that, sorry?
I just said, yay, Canada.
Yay, Canada. Is that, okay, so if you had a flag on your truck in February in Canada, are you therefore some sort of terrorist and therefore your firearm should be taken away from you? So that's where these red flag laws are very problematic. And again, gun laws in the United States, very different than Canada. So those of you who are watching in Canada, I get that it's different.
Not the same at all. No.
But in the States, the reason why they have guns is not to go hunting. Bambi is not the issue for the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was 100% formulated so that the population could create militias to defend themselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. That if the tyrannical government that the United States becomes, or the king that we just overthrew comes back, we have guns. Yeah. It's not about self-defense. It's not about hunting Bambi. It's not about anything else like that. It's about defending.
That is what that law's for. Correct. Yeah.
Very different.
It's more about hunting.
100%.
Or if you're a sport shooter.
Right.
There's
very different
laws about the sport shooting side.
Right.
Yeah.
So now when you have a red flag gun law and you're taking that's truly a constitutional issue, right? Because it's literally the second thing.
Yeah. That's a government taking away weapons. You have to have just cause. Right. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what you're explaining, but I also don't disagree with the law. Like, I am all about taking the guns out of these people's hands. I am all about catching these people. I would talk about mental health is where we should aim our money at mental health, and we should be.
But they're not criminals yet. They've done nothing yet. They have no criminal action per se that should allow them, because otherwise they would have their guns taken away. If you
committed a criminal act with a weapon or in something that is a high caliber, you lose your weapons for a period of time, right? Yeah.
Right. Felony. Any felon cannot have a gun.
Yeah.
Well, that's racist, right? That was the whole thing, is that felons, because they were saying, well, that's
there.
Well, this is the liberal argument, is that felons, they imprisoned black youth in order to make sure that they were unable to ascertain and defend themselves with firearms. That goes back in history.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
It could be true. I just haven't heard that.
Yeah.
No, but so
gun control racists.
If we did it properly, and someone sees those Facebooks, because a lot of times these killers, the mass shooters, have a social media.
Oh, 100%.
Right. And you see that piece, and then so you send in people who help, and we say to you, okay, you know what? We're going to pause the guns for a little bit until we ascertain whether or not you're mentally capable of having guns.
But who decides that?
And I don't care that, your rights are infringed. I'm sorry, man. But
who decides that?
Anyone who sees it, and the police goes through to a judge. The judge says, you know what? You do have enough information because, we have enough information. So what you have to do is you have to get them clinically tested and make sure this is all good. And then they go in with the warrant, they take the guns, and this person, if he wants his guns back, has to go to a certain amount of mental health help to determine whether or not he is safe enough with guns. And I'm okay with that.
Well, that sounds like a somewhat logical process.
Well, yeah.
That seems like a logical process. I think that at some level people can get on with that. The problem is that the dictating of what is grounds to have your weapons removed is a very, very, very slippery slope in the United States.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. You have to understand that this isn't about hunting. This isn't about anything else. This is
I totally understand. Yeah.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
But I don't think most people do.
Comes to keeping people safe, and for a month or 2 years even, you can't touch a gun because we are ensuring that you're in rough times right now. We're going to ensure you get to the other side of those rough times before we hand you another gun. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm okay with it. I get that in the States, actually any country in the world, it's going to be abused for sure. You're going to have a group of hunters or something that are like lean on the side of right, and they, pose with the Confederate flag and but bang, bang, bang kind of thing. And, I could see people pushing to have those people lose their guns for a period of time. But then, you have to prove that they're not mentally capable, that they are a threat.
But that's the point, is that that's
if you can't prove that, then they get their gun back and it moves on. And I think that anyone in their right mind who wants to protect their children should be okay with that.
Well, again, I go back to is that those seem like common sense processes that need to occur, but are not involved in these red flags.
You're saying that the laws that they're trying to bring out do not have those things. But that's how law creation works, buddy. That's how law creation works. Someone proposes a law, and then the other side goes, you know what? I'm down with your law. I think it's a great idea, but we're going to add this. But that won't happen. You know why that won't happen? Money. That's why it won't happen.
Why money?
The whole big NRA that's pushing these politicians to not allow any of that to happen.
So
you don't even roll your eyes at me. You know it's true.
Well, okay. So like
like there's oil companies that are running some of the liberals' bodies, and so that's why those laws don't happen.
I would argue, and there was a congressman that was speaking today, and about these, red flag laws. Yeah. And he was from Louisiana. He had a southern gentleman's drawl about him.
A little bit of a southern belle.
He was a southern gentleman. And he was talking about, he was born in 1961. Okay. And he goes, when I was born, I was, the son of an ex-serviceman who came back. I'm the 7th of 8 children. And he goes, we had 30 or 40 guns in my home. We did all kinds of stuff. We shot guns. We had long rifles for hunting. We had all kinds of things. 7th of 8 children. He said, when I went off to high school, I went in and every vehicle that was in the parking lot had a gun rack with a shotgun behind it and usually a pistol underneath the seat. We didn't have school shootings. It's like when I went off to college, we went out and one of the things that I did going through college was I was working construction, and we were rebuilding these beautiful historic homes in wherever he was from in Louisiana. And he said, one of the things that was very interesting to me is that we'd go into these old homes and, you'd see a board and you'd look at the board and you'd look at it really closely, these 100-year-old homes back then. And you'd see if they were, a mechanically cut, like saw cut wood, or if it was a hand cut log, or right as he's going through. He says, it's funny how in the 70s, all these homes that we were going into had no locks. They weren't even built with locks. He goes, more guns than we knew what to do with, more guns than people, yet we didn't have a problem with shootings. And he goes, maybe this is a cultural thing that we've got going on right now, that these school shootings are a cultural problem. In regards to, it's not the gun that shoots people, it's the people that shoot people. And that's not NRA, that's common sense.
No,
right?
But NRA pushes so that these laws don't even get put on the table.
Okay, so how many NRA member shootings are there a year?
I have no idea.
Well, it's not.
But what does that have to do with the fact that they use their money so that guns don't get limited?
Well, but that's the narrative. That's the liberal narrative.
That's what they do. There's no liberal narrative. There's no narrative. Every politician has a a company in their corner, including our wonderful Trudeau, including our Doug Ford. They all have companies that have backed them that they have to protect.
The corn growers of Idaho
Right.
have the same thing.
Sure. Yeah,
Right.
and you're right. So then laws aren't passed about corn.
Petawawa are
anyway.
they've
What
got
I'm
their
saying is that
thing.
if that wasn't the case, then both sides could sit down with this law and go, you know what? It's a good law. We want to protect our kids. We can sit down and we can come up with a logical way to get through it.
So what do you think the NRA does then? The NRA is an organization
promotes the First Amendment, Second Amendment.
Yeah. Okay.
They promote the Second Amendment and make sure that laws aren't passed that prohibit the Second Amendment. They also do I think they throw parties, and I don't know.
Shit.
Don't they? I don't know. 16-year-olds come out and do like the bell thing. I don't know. I really don't know. Coming in, I don't know. Is that what they do?
Yeah. So like
smoke cigars.
Like anything, there's millions and millions of legal gun owners, right?
Yes.
I think there's 115 million guns in the United States, right? Like it's something insane.
Yeah, no, it is insane. I agree. Well,
but it's because it's different.
And you know what? I get it's different. And I get that most people in America, both liberal and Republican, want to keep their guns. And I don't live in the States, so I don't care either way. Right. But when children get massacred and you do nothing, that's a problem for me. They're doing nothing. They've come up with no answers. Massacre after massacre after massacre and come up with no answers. Pat, you gotta be like, what the hell? Come up with an answer. Make up something. Do something.
I don't think it's the government's job to do that. That's where we just fundamentally differ on that. It's
not the government to protect us. We have an army to protect us. We have police to protect us. Who pays for that?
Oh, there's no question. But what I'm saying is that it is not. We have fucking laws. Is there a law against murdering children in a school?
Sure. Yeah.
So you're telling me that the law didn't work? James.
It didn't work because we're not catching the
criminals. Don't abide by the law, James? James.
I think we could catch them beforehand if we altered laws.
Yeah, but what is
red law that you're talking about?
What is catch them beforehand?
We could catch them before they started killing people.
Yeah.
And even if we caught one, Pat, like we don't catch 30 of them, we catch one. I'm okay with that.
We catch all kinds of people that do illegal things every day.
True. Yeah, but if this is one more tool in a policeman's bag,
right,
I'm down with it. Let's do it. Sign it up. Just do it in the right way. I agree with you. If Karen next door is upset with me because my dog's barking all night, a little situation that might have happened. Although I didn't have a Karen next door. My person next door is delightful and was very kind. And so then sends the police because, a mental health check or whatever it is. And they come in and they just go, yeah, we're going to take all your guns and you can fight it in court or whatever you have to do. No, that's not okay.
Right.
But if we go through the right channels, the right process, we get a warrant because we've proven, we've seen James's social media. He has made threats on social media. He's done certain things and, he's outside shooting the gun in the air. I don't know. I got nothing. I don't know the reasons why you would decide that. Or he's made threats, or he's sent threatening emails to people.
I believe that all of those things that you have described are already illegal.
They are illegal.
They're all illegal.
Take the gun away from them.
If you go out in your backyard and you start shooting shit,
right?
That's illegal.
So then you walk in and you go, sir, for the next little while, until you meet these things, you no longer have the right to have.
Why do you need the red flag law? Because all of those things that you've already explained, right? So as a police officer,
so if I send a threatening email to you, like I did last night, and I didn't. I'm kidding. I love this man. He's the best. Love him. If I send you a threatening email, threatening to do mass harm, it's a criminal offense. I agree. But what happens to me?
I would hope that a sheriff, a deputy,
Yeah.
FBI agent, I
Right.
hope somebody comes to your door and says, sir, what
Right.
you're doing is legal. It's illegal. You can't do that, sir.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I won't do it anymore. I promise.
Right.
And then what?
Well, but if it, okay, so this is where policing, you have to have, is that,
You call the police on me? How's that help?
well, but that's in every legal situation ever. So a police officer, when they get a complaint,
Yeah.
they have to ensure that the offense, right? The offense that we're talking about is threatening, whether that's, threatening bodily harm, whether that's whatever,
What level of threatening it is, for sure.
is no longer going to occur. So if the police officer cannot, come to some understanding that that offense has ceased, okay, he can't leave you. So if you're standing there telling the cop and you're going, yeah, I'm gonna kill him,
No, but that's not what's going to happen in most cases. It'll be like, yeah, you know what? I'm really sorry. I was angry that moment.
So mental clarity occurs apparently, and now they're going to come take your guns.
But I'm not. That's. But there has to be precedence. So they're taking your gun,
right,
and then they go through a process by which you would not be able to just pretend for a short period of time. Happy Canada Day! Woo, Canada! Canada. We've talked more about the States than we have Canada, but happy Canada Day.
We apparently are not going to agree on the red.
I just saw a video, and I don't know if it's true because I'm not deep in the whole watching the news and all that. I apologize. I haven't had time the last 2 weeks. Been a very busy 2 weeks for me. But Singh is proposing that everyone gets $1,000 in Canada. Is this a true thing, or is that just something that passed my thing and it's not true?
Well, California's doing the same thing. So Singh tends to take all of his leads from down there. So California under Gavin Newsom, Democrat, is hoping to give households up to $500,000 a year income.
What?
500K a year you can make. Like for a household of 3, I think it was $1,056 people are going to get. So what this does to me, this is just very political, and this is where I struggle with much of the liberal garbage that's out there.
Okay, so what did Singh said though?
Okay, well, let's start with this, and then I'll explain to you why this is a thing. Okay, so the Democrats in the States right now, everything that you're hearing about is inflation was not caused because they printed, $7 trillion.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
This is about people spending money, right? Yeah. It's about the war. It's Putin's
Russia attacking. It's about the gas companies are gouging.
Right.
Not the gas companies. Sorry, the gas stations are gouging.
Right. Everybody but
Trump caused it.
January 6th.
Yeah.
Everybody but we printed $7 trillion, far beyond whatever we needed. Okay. So long story short, what they're calling this now is a inflation stimulus check. I can't remember how they worded it exactly. It was like an inflation. I have a mosquito.
I hope so. That was a weird tick.
Well, they're calling it an inflation stimulus check, basically, right? To fight inflation. Well, like, you need to have like this. Holy shit! You need like this much like gray matter between your ears to realize that like
that's not going to make it better.
Inflation is caused by people having too much cash.
Yeah.
When you give them too much cash, it's a problem.
You're also reducing the amount of cash that the government has.
What it does is it takes the foot off Biden's throat, where you can go and be like, hey, look at California. They're doing because it can't be that then, right? It can't be that all this money that we printed is the problem, because this is going to fix the problem. Oddly enough, right before midterm elections in November, right?
Right. It would fix the problem short term, for sure.
No, God, no.
Short term?
No.
Sorry, it wouldn't fix the problem short term. It would hide the problem short term. I guess that's what I meant to say. It would be an illusionary wall that would hide the problem short term, but in the long run, California would go bankrupt.
It would cause so much devastation nationwide that it would cause the Federal Reserve Bank to smash rates even higher, faster, potentially. Well, you and I have talked about this. Is that what's happening right now is the Federal Reserve Bank is they're chasing the bond market. So bond markets now are in the high 3% yields, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that, you have to get equal or greater than to drop inflation. So as that bond market ticks up, and the problem was just the other day they had a bond market, so they had a bond sale and nobody wanted it. I've talked to you guys before about this, is that bonds are inverse like stocks, okay? They're opposite of stocks. So if you have Tesla and everybody wants to buy Tesla, supply demand, right? Nobody's selling, the price jumps up. The bond market is the opposite of that. The more people want bonds, the price goes down, okay? So nobody wanted these bonds, right? Nobody wants them. So what happens is the price skyrockets. Okay? So if you have all these bonds, because the Fed is now liquidating their assets, they have all of these mortgage-backed securities. Mortgages are just a bond, right? They're all debt instruments. Bonds are just debt instruments. And what's happening is the bond yields are flying up. Okay? You've got 2 and 3 and 4 year bond yields that are 3, 4, 5%. Well, the Fed has to chase that and get ahead of it before they're going to inflect back down and drop rates. So as the bond market, nobody wants bonds.
Right.
What you're doing is that you're raising the yields on them. Well, so right now the Fed funds rate is like 1.25%. Bond yields are almost 4. Well, we got to get to 4 ASAP. Right? That's kind of the concept.
Right.
So the longer we wait, or the more California stupidity that comes into the market, that just means that we're going to have to raise rates even higher, faster to try to catch the bond market. And this is where California is this Democrat-run hellhole that it is now. You've got this position where, okay, if we can give money today, people can go and continue buying Starbucks. Well, the problem is,
they won't complain and they will be complacent
until in November. The Democrats are very screwed come November. That's why we're seeing all of these hot button issues being brought up right now, right? Because they don't have a solution,
right? So it doesn't surprise me. I don't know that I agree or disagree with you about that, but that is what the Republicans and the Democrats do during this time. They start drumming up all this, like this.
Well, they go to their base, right? So they go to their base and they say, "Hey, what is important?"
Yeah.
Right. So,
but giving money to people like you're saying, if they were giving it to like the low income people, I'm down with that. I've told you that before. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're giving it to everyone, I know you're clicking and everything, but I pay taxes and I get to decide where my taxes go sometimes. And no, I know, not even a little bit. I wish I did. Yeah. I just saw they raised my school taxes even, and I have no one in the school. But so what for people who don't have enough money, that aren't making a certain level of money, giving them money until they can get up above, it should be a time limit though. Like, we're not going to give you $1,000 for the rest of your life. I just think that that's unrealistic. I think it's something that you use that money to grow, but to give me and you, or like Elon Musk, $1,000 so everyone's even, it just doesn't make any sense. We got to get this idea that we all have to be even all the time. Some people need help. Some people don't need help.
The reason why they're doing what they're doing is they're saying that everybody is being affected by the inflation, right? So
absolutely,
if you bike to work and you make $40,000 a year and you work in a small little coffee shop, or maybe you own the coffee shop or that sort of thing, right? Inflation is hitting you in the grocery store, it's hitting you in heating your home, all of these things. But we've got to kind of remember that we're going through a massive pivot. We're going through a behavior modification cycle. They want you away from certain aspects. And that's why we're having such a weird situation with gas prices the way they are right now. You cannot tell me that this isn't a bit of a planned war of attrition, if you will, over gas, trying to get people to pivot into electronic vehicles. I don't think it's not. So the more pain that they can cause, and I look at every crisis that we've ever had, the more pain that they can cause people, then all of a sudden they come in with a solution. Hey, this is what we're going to do. we're going to subsidize electric vehicles. I would argue that your tax. So Trump rolled back a lot of tax regulation when it came to the green vehicles.
Okay.
And I think you're going to see that goes back hotter and heavier than ever over the next, I would say, well, you might even see it before November, right? Because there's going to be a massive pivot that you need to be driving green.
There's already been a pivot. Like, I know that a few of my friends who have bought new cars recently have gone either hybrid or electric.
Right.
And it's more money to do that, but that's what they've chosen to do.
Right.
And I don't know. I still think it's a valid way to go, but until the prices come down, I just don't see it being plausible for most people.
Okay, so here in Canada, so I would argue that us and a few states in the United States are a viable alternative for gas if you want to do the green thing, right? So we get most of our energy through nuclear or hydro.
Yeah.
Right. So if you plug your car in and you are powered by, Darlington Hydro, and you're powered by the Trent Severn Canal, that's, all the water dams, that's a fairly green process. I will give that. The problem is that if you're in Dearborn, Michigan, where they're
cool.
It's coal.
Yeah.
So you plug your car into coal.
That's right. And you're burning more coal. Yeah. Yeah. And they've also talked about, even in Canada, when we go through these big power surges in the summer and stuff like that, they have to burn coal to keep up with the demand. Right? Because our infrastructure isn't prepared for extra electricity.
Well, so I think that might have been years ago. I know now Ontario is one of the largest hydro exporters in the world.
Right.
We pay New York State to take our hydro.
Right.
Thank you, Liberals. Right. Oh, it was. That was a Wynne program. Kathleen Wynne and her Liberals negotiated a deal for the excess hydro that Ontario. Do a Google. Don't trust me. For our excess hydro that we distributed into the New York State grid at a cost to us. Brilliance. Well, and for those who don't know how hydro works, right? You have electrons. Once you build the grid, your electrons need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
You can dial it down, you can dial it up. Like, this is not rocket science, folks. Except we're paying to subsidize New York State hydroelectricity.
It would be kind of like a glass jar. You keep pumping water into it, eventually it'll explode unless you have like another pipe going somewhere else. That's what you're trying to say.
But put a little different hose on the top of the pipe instead.
Or you could slow down the drip, or you could do a lot of other changes to make it more valuable. Yeah, no, I get that.
Insanity.
Well, okay. Division. Let's stop it. If we work together, we join hands across the nation. No, wrong way.
To your mind, body, and soul.
Join hands across the nation. Another one. The other one. Yeah, switch hands. Other hand. There you go. Join hands across the nation. And no, let's make this Canada Day the one day of the year that we celebrate our positives, we celebrate our happiness, that we celebrate all of the wonderful things, all the great laws we have. We have so many amazing laws in our country. We have a flawed welfare system, but it's a great welfare system. We have a flawed medical system, but it's a great medical system. Like, there are so many great things, and we help each other out. Like, time and time again, we'll have a storm. We got people, like, we had a storm here. People from St. John, New Brunswick came to help. Like, we are a country that helps each other. And let's get out and celebrate. July 1st, get out there, wave that flag loud and proud, wear your red, scream from the rooftops that Canada is the best country in the world. Just for one day. Forget that, there are problems.
Terrorist.
Let's go with positives. Just for one day. Do that for me. Do it for me, and let's heal our mind, bodies, and souls together.
Let's make some money together, folks. We'll just leave this for that, for what it is. Folks, have a great day. Have a great Canada Day. We'll see you in a few days. And anything else? Any parting wisdom?
No, look to us tomorrow for our live. If you're still watching this, tomorrow
Yep.
for our live, it's going to be a mystery guest. Yay!
Anybody. Could be anybody at this point.
Could be anybody. Could be
All right,
you.
folks. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. And look at that smiling little face over there. It's why I keep him around. Isn't he cute, folks?
So cute. Yeah.
Cute.